Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. You're welcome to Talk Time. This great Saturday morning, we give God the glory for His mercies upon our life. Things are looking pretty cool out there. And I can tell you, traffic-wise, from the west end, linking up with the south, and of course, the northern part of Lagos, all areas looking very, very cool this morning. The major connecting points to the island, the third mainland bridge, Echo Bridge, as well as Curtail Bridge, very cool and calm. And I can tell you, those of you who are migrating into Lagos from Ogun State, the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway still looking pretty good at this time. And that will give us some good time to have a good conversation on the program this morning. And that's because we're going to be talking on the environment. Yes, there's a whole lot that we need to do. We've seen so many narratives on social media talking about Lagos. Some have said Lagos is smelling. Some have said Lagos is dirty. But we know that it's not Lagos. It's not all parts of Lagos that is dirty, right? And that is why we need to do our own part to ensure that Lagos becomes cleaner, all right? Somebody says the earth has enough resources for our needs, but not enough for our greed. And that is why a lot of people seem to, desecrate, or perhaps seems to be abusing the environment. All right. So we need to focus on that this morning. We're asking the question, what can be done really to ensure that Lagos is cleaner? And we're taking this based on the fact that there are lots that are happening out there. By the way, if you're wondering who's speaking with you on the program this morning, this is Victor Oteri, and I'm yours always, trying to ensure that Lagos becomes a better place. So, drastic suggestions to curtail environmental infractions in Lagos is our focus, and I'll be hearing from you very, very shortly. Now, very recently, to be precise, on the 16th of June, the Lagos State government convicted 13 persons. Yes, 13. You heard it from me. A magistrate court in Bolade Oshodi indeed convicted 13 individuals for engaging in open defecation and urination in places like Agege and Alimosho areas of Lagos State. Take note of those two places. It's not to say that this is limited to just those two local governments. I can tell you this is something that happens across the entire length and breadth of the state, but we're just bringing this out for reference. Now, each of the accused persons pleaded guilty and they were sentenced to 3 months in prison. 3 months imprisonment. That's the punishment for this conviction. Now, the convicts include, and I'm going to be mentioning them really, these convicted individuals, they include Friday Samuel, who is 49 years. They include Sulaiman Olalekon, who is 54 years. They include Idris Jimo, 45 years. Take note of those ages because we're going to come back to that. Also convicted is Alao Babatunde, 54 years. And then we have Chinonso Dominic, who is 21 years. We also have Akim Suraju, who is 42 years. We have Lawal Idris, who is 29 years. We also have Oluwatobi Adebayo, 30 years. And then Ismaila Adeyemi, who is 35 years. And then we also had Murtala Jamilu, who is 20 years, Samson Memuda, who is 54 years, Jamilu Abdullahi, who is 29 years, and then we had Ganiu Akim, who is 55 years. Well, it is worth noting that, these individuals, like they say, we had those that are above 30 and 55 making the majority of those that were convicted. Well, this is something, for you to just take note of. And, following that conviction, we've had some people, some legal minds that have said, well, it is true that they infracted on the environment, but, they have criticized the sentence, arguing that the government should have provided more adequate public toilet facilities instead of imposing such harsh penalties. I'm going to be talking about that during the course of the program. So I'm asking the question this morning, what do you think we need to do really to ensure that the environment is cleaner? What can we do to stop people from indiscriminate dumping of waste? If you come out in the mornings every day, in places like Agege, like Yanokpaja, you see people bringing out bags of waste, right? I'm talking about huge bags of waste adorning the road medians. And the big question is, we have a PSP kind of model that's in the state whereby the private sector participants are brought in to cut away our waste at a minimal fee. But you find people who would rather not pay these fees and want to dump those waste on the roads, by the road medians, by the roadside, with the hope that the Loma trucks will come for intervention. Yes, Loma is doing that from time to time, but why are we making that our habit? So what do you think we need to do to really curtail the excesses of those that are involved in indiscriminate dumping? First up, let's get to the streets to hear from those who are around Oshodi, to find out from them really what do you think the Lagos State government, or perhaps what we can all do to stop indiscriminate dumping in Lagos.
The government is really trying in terms of waste disposal in the states. But now what can really be done is that they should look for more dump sites, not the illegal ones, more dump sites, create more dump sites for people to be able to dump their refuse. And the car pushers should stop the cash pushers, and the car officials should be up and doing in the area of cleaning the environment. And two, the environmental sanitation in most marketplaces should be strengthening, and the environmental sanitation should be a continuous thing. It should not be stopped. And the Lagos government should look for more private investors in the waste disposals, so that all this they can go into the streets. They go into the street corners of every state to take refuse to the dump site, so that most of the residents will not dump refuse inside the gutters. And anybody that is the offender should really be arrested by car officials.
You catch someone, you sanction the person, pay something, some price. So just as my friend said, before you catch somebody, there should be a provision for somebody to deposit the debt. You understand? So if you make a provision for that and someone fails to comply, you now go ahead and catch the person. Ordinarily, you don't catch somebody when there is no place for somebody to dump debt.
Effective public enlightenment campaigns, and the government also must try as much as possible to ensure that it provides waste baskets, waste bins, because you cannot ask people not to dump indiscriminately when you don't make provisions for them. That will go a long way in coping the incidents of indiscriminate dumping of waste in Lagos State.
The government will need to provide adequate waste bin and all these PS, the people PS, they should be, if it's a weekly thing, they should be consistent in coming to pack these things, because most times it is later they are waiting for them to come and move them. So they should ensure that the necessary or the agencies responsible for carrying these things are there to do it at the appropriate time.
The foremost thing is for the government to strengthen the environmental laws on waste disposal, and if they strengthen the laws, you understand, the offenders are apprehended to serve as deterrent to others, and secondly, I think there should be a step up in the level of public enlightenment on the dangers of indiscriminate waste disposal. People should be made to realize the inherent problems that may arise from indiscriminate disposal, like flooding and all those things, and the attendant diseases that may come.
But people need to be sensitized more on the effects of dumping of waste indiscriminately to places. If you drop it in the canal, at the end of the day, the gutter will block, and there will not be free flow of water. And it's part of those things that are called malaria and other diseases. If you drop it in the canal, and if the canal gets blocked, it causes to erosion, flooding, and all these things. So people should try as much as possible to be sensitized on the implication of, and individually, everybody should be able to enlighten their people or themselves on the effects of dropping waste.
All these things provided for us, and it's for us to be putting it and to caution ourselves. If at all you don't have anywhere to put it, you keep it inside, maybe your bag, When you get to the appropriate place, then you dump it there to make everywhere to be clean. Discipline yourself.
Providing this waste disposable basket in all the places. The first thing is public enlightenment. People should not throw refuse or waste anyhow. Then the government has a very big part to play by. They have it. In Lagos, we have waste management board. A board has to be set up that will monitor and manage all this waste. I have said before that public enlightenment, that is all. That's what we have.
All right, then. So a cross-section of people in Oshodi talking about what can be done really to curb indiscriminate dumping. We'll hear from you very, very shortly, but let's speak first with an environmentalist of repute. He's been there for several years, former chairman of the Environmental Health Officers Association of Nigeria, and talking about the Lagos State chapter. Sanitarian Taiwo Awuniga is joining us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Victor Oteri. Good morning, my good people of Lagos.
Great. Let's hear from you. Let's jump into it right directly. Lagos State last month convicted some 13 persons for open urination and defecation. What did you make of that news?
Yes, thank you. Open defecation and urination in Lagos Street pose serious environmental, health and social challenges. And that is why the Lagos State government see it as a menace that cannot be tolerated again. So there is a war on it now in Lagos State. That's why Lagos State have set out some environmental officer and the task force outside to curb the menace. Last week at a special offences court, 13 people were convicted for 3 months imprisonment. And some have an option of fine, but some doesn't have an option of fine. So open defecation in Lagos State has now become a problem, and the government is not taking it easy with anybody found doing it.
All right. So what would you say for those who say, well, government, this is too harsh, a kind of penalty, and the government has not provided enough public toilets? What would you say to those kind of comments?
Thank you, Victor Oteri. The government has been doing its own role and its own part. Most especially for the past 8 years now, government have been encouraging private partnership to partner in building public toilets everywhere. That's why you see, even we're having this, what do we call these people? Those who are having eco-friendly toilets.
Right.
The eco-friendly toilets, this plastic toilet being placed along our roads. Go to Yanopaja, you will see it along beside the bridge in Yanopaja. They are placing it there. Go to Agege.
So you're saying now that there's no excuse for anyone to...
there's no excuse. Government have built enough public toilets. Even now, government is still encouraging people who can partner privately, and they'll be making their money through it.
All right.
So they don't have any excuse. Even our filling station, government have told them they should have toilets, motor parks, toilets, garage, toilet, markets, toilets. So there's no excuse for that, sir.
So Sanitarian Awoniga, so is this different from what existed in the past? Because I know in the 70s, we had some kind of system that made it difficult for people to really, really come out and, defecate openly.
Yes, the only thing that I will advise government to do is to decentralize our enforcement and the court prosecution. In the olden days, in the 70s, the government make it so easy that any offenders have access, and the enforcement officer have access to court within the very short distance within the community. That's why customary courts, they were given power to try any criminal cases that related to environmental offenses. Okay. So I want to advocate government should let us go back to that system. The system of centralizing special offenses court in Oshodi, Ikorodu, and this and all this, that one is too far. Let any offenders, environmental offenders, let them be taken to any nearest court.
All right. We leave that for now. Thank you so much for connecting with us, Sanitarian Awoniga.
Thank you.
Okay, then. So he's an environmentalist of several years standing. He is a past president of the Environmental Health Officers Association of Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter. Let's hear from you too. What do you make of this? 08099120777. What else is needed for us to ensure that Lagos becomes cleaner? And if you are to suggest, really, do you encourage that those who are caught in this kind of situation are sentenced? Let's hear from you. Let's have your own input as well. What do you make of that kind of situation? 08099120777 and 09153877127. Now, from those that showed it that we talked with or we spoke with earlier on, some of them did say we need more public enlightenment. And the big question is, we've been doing a whole lot of enlightenment on this program for several years. From as far back as 2013, we've been having this kind of public enlightenment programs, jingles courtesy of LOMA, the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources. They've come up with so many things on why we need to stop indiscriminate dumping of waste, how we need to dispose our waste, how we can effectively preserve those waste to ensure that it doesn't become a menace. We have a call? All right. So how we need to ensure that doesn't become an issue, and how we can also preserve those kind of waste and make it better. Let's take this call. Hello there. Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, what's your name?
B. I'm calling from Ogba.
All right, B. It's nice to hear from you.
Yeah. Concerning this open defecation, I think the prison sentence is
I didn't hear that. You think what?
I think the prison sentence, I don't think that's what should have been done.
Okay.
I think community service, in the sense of environmental community service, like those offenders, they should be tasked with, cleaning the defecations in other areas.
Okay.
So they can give them 72 hours community service whereby, they'll be inspected by maybe an officer. So they clean those defecations in other places. I mean, if I were someone that used to do that and I was punished by cleaning defecation, someone else's defecation outside, I don't think I'm going to do it the next time.
All right.
So I think that's an appropriate punishment too.
Okay then. B, thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you.
All right, then. So that's B from Ogba. What's your own thoughts? Do you think 3 months is too harsh? And of course, what else do you think should be done? For me, I think 3 months is just adequate, because if you go to other countries, you will not find people doing that. For even littering, the environment alone in some part of the world, once you are caught, there is no two ways about it. Nothing in terms of you paying a fine. You have to go to jail. That's the way it is. So let's see how that will pan out. 08099120777 09153877127. Those are the numbers that you can connect with us on the program. What do you think, or perhaps what drastic suggestions should be put in place to ensure that we can improve the environment and we stop people from infracting on it, so to say? So we have those who urinate openly, and this is more peculiar with men. We've seen that severally. And then we have those who are also indulging in open defecation, right? If you say you're oppressed and the next thing you're doing is to just hang by the next drainage, you do your thing, what about the effect on the environment? The effect in terms of the spread of diseases? When you get to certain locations in Lagos, the truth is that there's some places you just get to and you find it smelling. It's as a result of this kind of situations. All right. So what do you make of that? Now, for those of you who are saying we do not have enough public toilets, well, let me just bring out some facts that relate to toilets in Lagos. Do you have a call? Okay, so some facts that relates to public toilets. So as at 2022, the Lagos State government has constructed 167 toilets, right? That as at 2022. But the new construction projects, I understand, are on 100 new public toilet units have been approved for construction. This is to improve sanitation and combat open defecation, so to say. But apart from that, I also hear that the Lagos State government, with water aid, as well as private operators, are planning to build 350 additional public toilets across the state. So if you put all of that together, we should be having nothing less than 500 to 600 by the time all of these are, in the pipeline. So if we have about 500 to 600 public toilets, why would we still be having people who are, engaging in open urination and open defecation, as the case may be? So those are, questions that requires a whole lot of answers. 09153877127. And while the numbers are being increased, there's that call for increased facilities, especially those ones with accessible facilities to persons with disabilities. And these facilities should be well maintained and cleaned. Okay, so for the ones that you've seen, are they properly cleaned as well? You can also give us your own assessment as it relates to that. But in terms of what are you doing to ensure that Lagos is cleaner? Let's get back to the roads. And we're heading towards Beja this morning to also hear from people there. What do they think can be done, or what are you doing as an individual to make Lagos a cleaner place?
As a citizen, I always ensure that I go along the positive line. If I'm in the vehicle, I don't throw waste on the road, and I ensure as much as possible that I try to educate people on how to be, good citizens.
In my house, I often buy, there's this waste bin nylon, so 350, 300, and it contains 20. That's what we use, and put it neatly and wrap it neatly. If it's filled, we move it outside for the vehicle people to carry it. And so right from home, I make sure that the environment is clean enough, and that as much as possible, move these things before the day they pick it up.
By doing my civic responsibilities, pay my tax, like we just said, dispose of my refuse appropriately, and be a good citizen.
To make Lagos a cleaner state, my own contribution is that there should be a continuous enlightenment. People should be more sensitized on how to dispose their waste properly. So that's how we can have a cleaner and better Lagos. You know what the state government is doing now? They are really doing the best. We ensure that no areas is left unturned in terms of refuse disposal. We are still going back to how to temple website. So you need a more enlightened people, more people to tell people on a daily basis. There will be jingles on radio, television basis to tell people, to educate people on a clean and a better environment.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. You're hearing from people around the Beja corridor, and of course they're saying we need to do more in terms of enlightenment. But what about you? What are you doing in your own little corner? 08099120777, 09153877127. Those are the numbers that you can connect with us. Of course, we're asking drastic suggestions for us to improve the environment in Lagos. All right. This one says, good morning, Victor. Why don't we have more public toilets in major markets and bus stops? Isn't that part of the problem? Ahmed He's sending that one in from Iwaya. Ahmed, thank you so much. But I just told you that, these are some toilets which the Lagos State government has put in place. 167 of them are fully functional across the state. Plans are on in collaboration with the private sector to get 350 more. And of course, the government has also approved another 100 that will be constructed between now and early next year. So if you put all of that together, that should give you something in the realms of 500, 600. That should be something that should go some way in terms of easing the pressure that we have. But should that be an excuse for people to be urinating in public or perhaps defecating as well? And this you find everywhere. It doesn't matter the location. Guys, any moment they are pressed, probably there's a traffic jam somewhere. They are pressed, they come out, and the next thing, you see them fix the tires of their vehicles and they unleash the thing as if it was a shower. All right. But the real thing is that if you are pressed, you're supposed to look for a nearest, restaurant, the nearest filling station, so that you can, go in there to ease yourself. That's if you cannot find any of the public toilets that we are talking about. This one says, "Good morning, Victor. I'm just thinking out loud. What if churches and mosques were mandated to have toilets that are accessible to the public?" Mr. Bidemi. I think that's also a very, very nice idea too. Even though we know that churches, they have their facilities, they might be under pressure during the times they have their services or perhaps their outreaches. But during the week when you do not have many people there, yes, I think that could also be a way of easing the pressure too. If they are allowed, or perhaps they allow their facilities to be open to the public, I'm sure that would also help in a great way. 091-5387-7127. We're talking issues that relates to open defecation, urination, and of course those that are dumping indiscriminately as well. Do you see that in your neighborhood? And if you do, what do you think we can do to curtail the excesses of those people that are indulging in that? Those that are still very much in that realm, what should be done to them? We had that... those 13 people that were convicted and sentenced to 3 months in jail. Do you think that will stop? Will that serve as a deterrent for some people who are indulging in that? This one says, "Good morning, Victor. I saw a woman dumping refuse into a canal yesterday. Who do I even report that to?" Okay, you didn't put your name, but thank you so much. Yes, so there are some lines which from time to time we do talk about what you need to do to report when you see those kind of things. We have, those numbers. You can even call or place a call to the emergency and let them know that this is what is happening in your neighborhood, and they'll be able to, help out as well. There's a message here. It says, "Good morning, Victor. For the truth, the public toilets are not enough. The few ones available are not well managed, as area boys are often in control of those places. As for enforcement, offenders should be made to park dirt in the drainage and gutters around the spot where the offense was committed." Okay, so then, then a token fine should follow suit as well. Thanks, Olualoko. Olualoko, thank you so much. One of our regulars. Yes, that's another thing of concern. If we have those public toilets that are being taken over by the social miscreants, definitely people would not like to go there. So that's a clarion call to the Lagos State government for that to be properly tackled as well. So let's see what can be done in that regard so that people do not fall prey. People might be a bit scared of going to such public toilets, but the whole idea is that it should be properly maintained, and you should have places, you should have people there that will ensure that it is safe as well. All right, have a call? All right, let's take this call. Hello there. All right, I guess I lost that one. Also, there's a message here that says, "Victor, do we really need prisons for this kind of offenses, or is there a more impactful alternative? It feels like an overkill. Susan is sending this one from Ojodu. Well, Susan, I do not see it as overkill, because if it's something that we've been grappling with for years and we're not really having any major improvement, I think something drastic needs to be done so that people will be stopped. For me, I would have only expected that, we should build more of such cells, so that people who are infracting on the environment, especially those that are bringing out their waste. You need to go to some places in Lagos every morning. By 5, 6, you would have found those waste, aligning those streets as if they were ornaments to decorate the roads. All right. So if we had a situation whereby some of these, things are properly, curtailed, I'm sure that people will desist from dumping those waste, and it will become a thing of the past. And that's why we're saying something drastic will have to be done. But most of you, you've made your points. If you want any, anything, that you can report to Loma, right? If you see anything in your neighborhood, you can report to Loma, and of course they'll be able to also respond. So you can always call Loma on 070 80 60 1020. That's 070-8060-1020. And of course, somebody will be there to respond to you as well. So anytime you have any waste, of perhaps those ones that relate to people that are dumping indiscriminately, you can always reach out to them and they'll be there to respond as well. This is how far we go on the program. Let me say a very big thank you to all of you for being part of this. Yes, the whole idea is to ensure that we make Lagos cleaner, and that can be done through a collaborative effort. It is you, it is I, and every one of us joining hands to ensure that things becomes better. All right, maximum shout out going out to Mike James. He has produced the program this morning. I say a big thank you to our social media team, Okpayemi Shodunke and Remy Aloko. Our executive producer is Tayo Akonle. My name is Victor Oteri. I'll be back by 10:15 for Maritime Today.